Bill. No, Sean.
They already gone over?
Hello, there's Patty right there. The ninth.
No, the
fourth.
others.
Yes, the others have gone over. Rick?
Oh,
Okay,
Yeah,
Dave, you may go ahead.
Yeah, I should have.
All right. So everybody, thank you very much. I mean, this is our regular time, but I know that we are tight to quorum because many of our people are already off and about. I know that Jean-Maurice and Bill and Bunty are already off to Zweibrücken. And so given the time difference, it's not likely they'll be arriving in for this meeting. So I do, if anybody made any special efforts beyond what you might normally do, then I appreciate it because it looks bad if we don't hold a meeting for lack of quorum. So I would, Tammy, I'm going to, as usual, ask you to help me through the agenda because I don't have it in front of me. And, but we'll walk through this. There are no motions that I'm aware of, but there is a ton of information and one or two items that are information, but that may not actually have made it to the agenda. So Barry and I are just going to fill you in on some stuff and we'll go from there. But because they're not actually on the agenda, they are information and not actionable at this point. So Tammy, what's up first?
Committee budget update. So I don't know if you have anything to report on that or.
I don't actually. I mean, we're still well within our budget
Yeah,
for this year. Everything, I mean, there, other than the actual expenditures of some of these monies that we passed motions about at the last meeting. I mean, nothing has changed since then. I'm not aware of any new budgetary expenses.
yeah, and I took it upon myself to kind of figure out what has been committee has approved for expenditures. So far it's $27,250. That's with everything, but it won't be that amount because some of that's not the full, because some of those expenditures are up to a certain dollar value. So
Exactly, right.
So
we're good. So then
Yeah.
that leaves us somewhere in the neighborhood of 10,000 plus our emergency fund. So we're in good shape.
yes,
All right, good. Next.
Mariama.
So there's really nothing new from Murayama that I'm aware of, unless Shannon or Patty have anything, but I'm pretty sure there's nothing new. We got some exciting news from them last time. They're very excited to move ahead with much of this stuff. But there's been nothing new in the month since. So moving on.
Youth ambassadors.
So actually we have some exciting news on that. So Shannon, you and I shared a performance yesterday that got us all pumped up about something. Do you want to take the ball and then I'll fill in the blanks, or do you want me to do it?
Sure. Dave and I were able to attend Moving Arts on Sunday to see one of their youth musical performances, and it was a fantastic event that they put on and hosted. It was really great opportunity, but there's more opportunities where that comes from to possibly have a relationship with Harrogate and be able to make movement forward in that. So there was interest on Moving Arts parts. I think, Dave, you said they were interested in finding out more about this. And Dave recently sent an email to Michael Newsby about that. And I believe that Mark and Patty, when they're going to Harrogate, are going to be able to have a meeting with Michael then to discuss a little bit more around that opportunity.
Right. And so the other thing I can add to that is that Michael Newby, who you may recall is the former mayor of Harrogate and was one of the founding members and keen people for the relationship between Barrie and Harrogate. He has been heavily involved with a fairly renowned international youth festival called the Harrogate International Youth Festival. It happens in and around Easter for the better part of a week. And I mean, it's a competition, but there's performances of basically all of the youth arts. It includes choirs and bands and dance troupes and that type of thing. So he's been keen to do this from the beginning, and I've been looking, and the schools are tied up in their own things, and there wasn't much interest along those lines. And I'm going back to before COVID, obviously. At any rate, a former student, a former global student, and therefore a student of mine. She was Megan Hope. She's now Megan Ing. Is the music director for Moving Art. And so I just happened to start talking to her and then discovered they were doing their finale performance. Go away. I'm at a meeting you're supposed to be at.
I know, I'm calling you to see if you can send me the link because I don't have it.
Could someone send Tina the link, please? Someone
Give
will
me a
do it.
second, I will do it.
All right,
Okay,
Tammy's
thank
doing
you.
it.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See, if I hadn't known it was Tina, I wouldn't have answered the phone, people. Seriously, okay?
A new way of life, Maury.
Exactly. So I can fill in the details on this while Tammy's getting that set up with Tina. So Megan then told me about Moving Art and told me about the level of interest they were likely to have. So then I thought it would be a good idea to actually see their performance level. So then I invited Shannon to join me. And we went and saw a musical theater production with the longest name I've ever, the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling
Putnam
Bee?
County Spelling Bee.
Anyway, so they were great. The kids were fantastic. The performance was wonderful. They were teenagers. As with all things that are not sports, there were not enough boys. But like, in other words, there was like 2 boys and about 23 girls, but that's the case in everything that we do that's not sports. Drives me crazy, but it's always the case. And it's the age group. It's nothing to do with male versus female. It's just the age range they're at. So anyway, and then so I've been back and forth a little bit with Megan and a little bit with Michael. And Shannon, you don't know this yet because I haven't forwarded it yet. It's been a long day. Michael Newby responded this morning. I sent him one yesterday after we got back and basically said this was all wonderful. And so he replied. I got it this morning, and he's extremely excited. Wants to know the size of the group. Is very happy to try and set up the plane-to-plane hosting. He's one of our international partners that understands it, accepts it, and thinks it's a great thing. I had said possibly to it again. He suggested that there might be other groups that were a more natural fit rather than the brass marching band. He thinks there may be some choirs or some dance groups or something like that. So he's super keen, and Megan contacted me and indicated that the next meeting, sometime in the next short while, like week or so, we're going to set up a meeting with the artistic director of the person that runs Moving Art, and that'll give us a better idea. And the cool part from what Megan has said is that if we can get a sense of this early on, then the really cool part of it is that they can make it part of their plans immediately, because now that the big finale is over, they're holding auditions for next year's classes, like starting next week. Okay. Questions from anybody about any of that? No? All right. It's pretty positive. So
yeah, I was just gonna say, I'll just add a couple other things. So Hiromi's gonna help me do some emails with the contact in Japan so that we can start having conversations about what 2023 is going to look like. And I was able to speak with both Kenta and Brandy, who are our 2 leaders that we were choosing to go. And so far, they're both still interested. So that was very good news. And we're going to set up a Zoom meeting next week so that we can have a little bit more discussion and just make sure that that dedication for moving forward is there. And then finally, the bookmarks were requested, but I haven't heard back from Sherry. So I am still waiting on a date for that. But if it even comes out after our flags have been up, I think that's a nice segue. They were up, now they're moving into the library, so we can still make that work, I think.
that all sounds great. Depending on when the meeting is next week, the Zoom meeting, I wouldn't mind being included in that.
Sure.
Although as everything, it depends when it is. Anything else in Youth Ambassadors?
Global?
Just a second. I have some legacy stuff. Well, actually, we can do global. That's right. No, I knew global was coming. I just didn't know when I wanted to do legacy. But go ahead, Jamie.
I don't know. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yep, perfect.
I don't have much, just the paperwork's in for next year for global to travel, fingers crossed. Hopefully it'll happen. And if you know anybody, we still have, I think, 2 spots left for the 2023 crew.
Really?
Other than that, things are running well.
Great. That's all really good news. So I don't know whether you heard him, but if there's anyone's got any ideas for a bright, talented kid that's currently in grade 10 going into grade 11 that could benefit from this amazing program, appears like they've got 2 spots left. So connect them with Jamie or Jeff Toole, and that would be great. Do we know yet whether the Germans are able to travel, and if so, when? Jamie?
Yeah, we don't know yet if the Germans will be able to travel, and as far as the school board is concerned, it's whether the federal government will allow them in, and they get the okay on their end, it'll be fine on ours.
Okay. All right. That all sounds good. So I'm gonna, Tammy, because you have it in front of you, is there something later on for the web or not?
Oh, there is not.
Is there something later on for the legacy fund?
No.
So first of all, there should be something for the legacy fund moving forward as
Okay.
a separate item. I'm going to put it in now because it's a youth thing, if you don't, without any objection from anyone. All right. So what's going to be going forward? And Barry, this is important for you. It saves me a phone call tomorrow. The Mark and I have finalized with Sarah Ingram with the Barry Community Foundation how the legacy is going to work. You may recall that this has been kicking around for a while. I mean, COVID basically stopped everything. And I don't know about the rest of you, but honest to God, I have forgotten more things than could possibly have happened over that 2-year time frame. So it's literally been a starting over and learning about the whole thing all over again. But the short version of this is that we have solved the problem, or Sarah has solved the problem, about how we accessed our money, because we don't know from one year to the next whether we're going to need any money or $20,000 worth of money. I mean, at the risk of being politically incorrect, we don't know the number of financially challenged students that are going to need our assistance until we actually go through the process. So we can't peg a number. And that was the problem with the original contract. So we have worked back through it. And they've come up with a solution that works perfectly. And it's solved by simply making the number of days or weeks that are necessary in advance in order to free up the money. All right, which is an easy solution. And Mark and I were both really happy with that. They made some minor wording changes. So the point, and Barry, this is where you're critical to this. The final agreement is going to leave my desk and be sent to you and to Wendy Cook, because as I understand it, the mayor and the clerk are the signatories for any agreement. And that would mean it's important that, the agreement's been seen before. Wendy and our legal department were part of creating this thing. So it's really a matter of just signing it. And you'll get that before the end of the week. Actually, you may get it as early as tomorrow. It's really important. I can't impress upon you how important it is that this not get delayed, like this, that this gets signed and back to Sarah Ingram or myself as soon as possible. So I'll send it off to you and leave it in your hands, and there'll be an email to both you and Wendy about it. So, okay. All right. Thank you. So that's basically about the legacy fund. We're about to start that up. I haven't done anything yet, but now that we have definite trips looking to be coming forward, we're kind of excited about a number. Actually, I forgot one, Shannon, with regard to the youth ambassadors next year. I am waiting for Greg Brooker from North to hold a meeting. I got an email from him who said, we're excited, it sounds good, but this can't happen because I don't know, he was busy. There was some stuff going on at North and he was too busy to do this right now, but he's promised to get back to it. And remember, North now has the French immersion program, and they're in the process of the idea is that next year that the students that are in the French immersion class at North would then either go on an interchange or an exchange to Arras, France. And Mark and Patty have my extensive notes on, these discussions they're going to have at all of their little stops along the way. So they're going to talk to Michael Newby about the youth thing. They're also going to talk about the rugby program when they get there. They're also going to talk in Arras about this program. So nothing is firm, but it's entirely possible that next year, as we start this, what we pray and touch wood is the post-COVID explosion of activities. We could have youth projects happening on all four fronts, which would be awesome, but potentially expensive. So we got to sort of, bear with us through this process.
Our max lead time in the legacy fund for the most amount of money we'd never need is only 30 days.
Right.
She worked a miracle for us. So
Yeah, I mean, at one point, Mark and I were going to walk away from this process, 3 months before we shut it down at COVID. We didn't think there was a way forward. I mean, we can't invest the money without any opportunity for access to the money. So we almost walked away. But Sarah Ingram has been wonderful to work with, and she has found these solutions. That it's potentially it's great, and hopefully by the time we get to June, I'll be back up raising money. And if anybody's interested in helping me raise money, let me know. All right, so that's that for that part of it. And Tammy, at some point, do you want to do the web or now or at the end? Does it matter?
You're on mute, Tammy.
Are you saying something, Tammy?
Yeah, it's so 2020.
It's been a long Tuesday.
Sorry about that. Where the web, now that's not on the agenda. Where did you want to put it under as a discussion?
It doesn't matter where. I mean, it doesn't really matter where it goes because it covers all of us. It's just that Kieran's got some stuff to tell us from a number of questions that came up after our presentation. And I just think he wants to fill people in.
Yeah.
So it can happen now if you want.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it won't take too long. It's actually very brief.
By the way, just a second, Kieran, welcome aboard. And just so everybody knows, everything's been approved. It's all good. And so, Kieran, it's your first meeting as a full member. Welcome aboard.
Woo-hoo!
All right. So there you go. Over to you, young man.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really excited to get going, and thank you so much for this opportunity. Anyway, so I can kind of dive right in. It's most of the stuff are just like little changes, like adding links to other cities so that kind of our website has links to their tourism sections, and that's just more of a working. That's obviously something we can easily implement. It's just something we have to work out with the IT department. I would say the biggest thing kind of to bring forward is we made a couple of little updates. I should also mention that, but also one thing that we could look at, and I know Arras France is doing this currently, and what they have is this live stream camera. And every time I've clicked it, I haven't been the brightest with this, where I click it always at like 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock our time. So it's always like, 5 or 6 in the morning for them. So the what's called their main square is always empty, but it's a live stream camera that kind of goes over their main square. And one of the recommendations was that we implement something like that, either, at City Hall or something like that. And people can come and click on that. And then they can also take a look and see what's going on in Barrie. And there's been a couple projects like this. I can actually send out a link of one that they sent as an example that was done between, I think, somewhere in the Czech Republic and somewhere in Hungary. I think it was 2 twin cities between there. That was like a really cool portal where you would walk up, there'd be a camera, and you could like wave hello to somebody in another side. It's just something really cool to implement. It would cost, I haven't looked at specifics of how much it would cost, and there would obviously be upkeep. So it's something we would have to talk to the IT department about. But I thought I would just kind of pitch that here and see if anyone had any strong feelings towards for it or against it. I definitely think it's possible. There are going to be some logistics behind it, like where are we actually going to put the camera? How much is this going to cost? But I thought, just might as well kind of start the idea here and see if there's any opinions or anything towards that. Yeah, that was pretty much the main thing. There's a bunch of little things, but I won't present those, and those will be more of just kind of updates in the future. So
do we have any live feed cameras in Barrie right now, like overlooking the waterfront?
Isn't there one on top of the roof of City Hall that shows the water? I don't know. I've never gone to it, but it seemed to me over the years I've seen pictures of it. But maybe
I think there is one, Barrie.
Yeah, it could be.
Well, we
Oh,
certainly
okay.
haven't done a very good job of advertising it because I've never seen it. So
Yeah.
It's how I check the weather from my office. Like if I'm coming home, I'll log on to that, see what the weather's doing.
Do you have the link, Tina? Can you send it?
It's on the city hall portal, but I'll find it. I'll send it.
on your way home, you're checking the water. What do you travel by boat?
Oh no, before I leave my office, if I want to know what the weather's like, I just click on the portal. If I hear the weather's bad, I look and see what Barry's doing.
Behind being a smart aleck, there's one in Wasaga Beach that's very active. People are on it all the time because it's at the beach and it shows you how packed it is, or it shows you what the weather's like or what the storm's like. I mean, like everything in Wasaga Beach, it's a controversy for no apparent reason, but it's extremely popular. So you could check on that one on Wasaga Beach's website if you chose to. It's interesting information. I mean, I think do we want to go further with this? I'm not hearing anybody.
I
else
have a
on the-
question. I do
Karen,
have,
Mark?
Kieran, if I go onto the City of Barrie website, I can't find international relations or any link to that. They have, sites to how to do business with Barrie and different departments. But are we not going to put something on that City of Barrie website so people can actually see it?
So Kieran, to be fair, I'll take that because that's not your responsibility. So I am continuing to negotiate with the communications department at the city. I've asked for it. I've asked for it before. Their view seems to be when you've got something special happening, we'll be happy to run a banner for a few days, but they don't see it as something that they want to put up like on a regular basis. We all don't understand that because to us, it makes sense that would be the perfect way to be transparent and encouraging people to be.
Hey, buddy, come on out of the rain. Come get a treat.
What?
Sorry.
Kathy.
Apparently, I'm getting a
Sorry.
treat from somewhere.
I unmuted myself because I have my hand up, so I'm ready to ask a question
Oh,
when
okay.
I get called upon, but then I forgot that I unmuted myself and called the dog in from out in the rain.
Now we all
So
need treats.
Given
Now,
that you don't have a picture up, I just thought your hand was up to say, I'm in the bathroom, I'll be back. Sorry.
There, my
There we
picture's
are.
up.
We'll get back.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right.
sure. Let me recognize you now.
Okay, so I was wondering about like the camera. It's interesting that you go by, wave it, say hello. Just wondering about what happens when we have people go by, wave hello, maybe do inappropriate things, or what kind of a filter we have, or just being the devil's advocate, because I was wandering around downtown yesterday, remarking some of the interesting humans there.
So I think we could start it with something simple like the Barrie. It's called Barrie webcams, Kieran. And so they take a picture every 15 minutes of the waterfront and stuff. We can start it with that and see how many clicks we have or uptakes we have. And if we want to expand it from there, we can go for it, right, as a starting point.
So actually, that's a great idea. Kieran, could you perhaps talk to your people in the IT department and ask how complicated it would be to link that Barrie webcam thing to the international site? And as soon as you get some type of answer to that, maybe respond to the individual that made the suggestion. All right, on behalf of the committee, indicating great idea. Here's what we're already doing, and here's what our plans are. Can I leave that with you?
Yeah. My only concern is, do we know who owns that company or that the photo service? I would hope City of Barrie, right?
I would assume if the City of Barrie is running, it's probably the City of Barrie.
Yeah,
It's just a
Services
single,
Barrie, yeah.
not a it's a camera, but it's not live.
It takes pictures every 15 minutes, yeah.
15 minutes, so.
Okay. Yeah. We can
find
start
that out
there.
here. I don't know. All right. Actually, to be fair, your IT people will be the ones running it, so I'm fairly certain they will. So they can probably tell you who actually owns it. And actually, that's part of the question. That's part of the question to them, Karen, would be, right now it's doing pictures 15 minutes. How complicated would it be to make it a live stream type of thing?
Kieran, why don't you send me your contact information to me at barrie.ward@barrie.ca, and I'll get somebody to get in touch with you. I'll find out who the right person is.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, that's good. So you had nothing else, Kieran?
Yeah, that's it for my part.
All right, I'll just quickly add the little changes that we needed to have happen that were mildly embarrassing. The change has been made on this Zweibrücken change. The contact is now Jean-Maurice Pigeon and that information rather than Rob for obvious reasons. So that has been changed. And there were a couple glitches that if you didn't, since no one's mentioned them to me, they've been resolved, and hopefully nobody in the community noticed them as well. So that's all good. Okay. Anything further on that? Okay, next up, I don't see any of their hands. All right, next.
German twinning, a German Canadian club.
I'm assuming German twinning. I mean, we've already got 3 of our reps that have arrived early. Mark and Patty, when do you leave?
Tomorrow.
Right, so they're leaving tomorrow. They've got a full itinerary. Is there anything you really want to add to that, Mark?
No, just if there's anybody who's got any other comments, Jamie, maybe. We are going to the school. So we are doing an afternoon, early evening at the school there for Global. So
the gymnasium?
Yeah.
Perfect.
And that, it's an absolutely full agenda. I mean, it's
good.
We're busy.
Being busy's good.
Yeah.
All right. So that's super. And actually, Tammy, if I'm correct, I mean, the next ones up are in order, Harrogate and Arras, correct?
Yes, that's right. Harrogate and Arras.
So Mark, why don't you just walk through your next couple of weeks for us, and that'll basically tell us what we're doing with regard to Harrogate and Arras as well as Zweibrücken.
Okay, so Zweibrücken, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. There's a lot of ceremony that's going to happen because we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of the twinning. We will be visiting the grave site where there's 150 Canadian soldiers buried. And we also are getting a contingent or a delegation from Ramstein to come and join us in the celebration. So we're extremely excited about that. We're also, at City Hall, we have that totem pole, which was one of our gifts to Germany way back, and we restored it here at Christian Island. They have taken their totem pole that was left there, and they've had it refurbished, and we're doing a rededication of the totem pole in Zwei as well. So
Great.
It's so cool that both our cities have this being done, and it's kind of our gift to each other, so to speak. So there's a lot going there, and then we're off to Arras. And this morning I received an absolutely outstanding itinerary. We're meeting with who's who in the city. They're bringing. We're having 2 lunch meetings with their city council. We're doing a separate meeting with the mayor of Arras. And we are having an opportunity to work with their people in charge of getting exchanges going. So we have a lot on the table there. We have, obviously from Barrie North, but we have some other interesting opportunities, not just youth, but also a citizens delegation. That one turned out to be better than we had expected based on the original. And Dave, you saw the itinerary. It's full.
Lots of opportunities for all kinds of discussion, it looks like.
Yeah.
So we've got a whole list of things we can talk about.
Yeah, I'm surprised. It's not just touring the area and seeing the Vimy and all the rest of it, but they've actually got in their agenda working lunch, working meeting with the mayor, so to discuss, and they talked about different points. So it's really exciting.
And before you move on to Harrogate, the difference between what's happening for Mark and Patty and what happened for me is that the mayor, when I went, the relationship was between our 2 mayors, and their mayor passed it on to a staffer of his. And literally I was on my own, except for 2 meetings where the staffers didn't really know what the hell was going on. And they were not negative about anything. They just really weren't quite sure what was going on. In this case, this entire operation, or the entire exchange, the twinning thing, has been taken over by a member of their council. And so now you've got some political muscle behind it, and he and his executive assistant are all over this and are making plans. And I mean, it's fairly easy to do the planning because it's only for like 2 days or 3 days, whatever you're there for. So it's a benefit. And I only mention it because there's a real benefit to having some political muscle. Absolutely. The bureaucrats do 90% of the work. I think we all understand that, but having political muscle behind you in these situations is why it's always worthwhile to take the time and to make the effort and to have the patience to work with whatever political representatives may appear. So, and Mark, go over to and then Harrogate.
And then Harrogate, again, we're going to be staying with the newbies who have been to Barrie. So this is going to be kind of fun. It's a reacquaintance, but we have some tangible opportunities in the works. And I know, Shannon, you've been brought into what's happening, but we do have an opportunity with a local group, and Dave, you can kind of. Okay, so that's been brought up.
Yeah.
And then thanks to Rick and Lou brought over some historical data for us with respect to the rugby program. So we're in really good shape when we sit down. I've responded and got a quick response back. So we will be meeting with the Tom and Neil to discuss and get this back on the table. So again, it's I mean, for Patty and I, we're going to see a lot of things we haven't seen before, but we are getting an opportunity to get to the meat of what we like to do, and that's get exchanges and our relationships growing. So it's timing couldn't be better. At post-COVID, everybody's there.
I was going to say, Mark and Patty, with timing, this week is National Youth Week. So it's a great time for you to be traveling and recognizing our youth and trying to help them succeed in the future. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things is we had to get another suitcase just for all the gifts we're taking.
Nothing wrong with gifting. All right.
No,
seriously.
but it's
nothing
hilarious.
wrong with
We
gifting.
started packing and then went, oh, we're not John Maurice. We don't get to take 3 bags and 75 pounds a bag. So
I'm sure
Speaking
you'll
of
figure it
speaking
out.
of timing, you better get to the airport early tomorrow.
We're getting there really early.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
we're going to go
I know.
4 hours early just based on what we're seeing.
I don't know that 4 hours is going to be enough.
Why? What's happening? What's wrong?
Oh,
There's not enough staff running the security. So the lineups at
Short
Toronto and Vancouver have been awful.
I know. But it looked a little better today so far.
Did it? Okay.
But
Okay.
we'll be
What-
monitoring that. And we're flexible.
We'll be heading up early.
Yeah.
One
My
little
tomorrow's Zoom call was why I had to come in late to this one. So it happened tonight. So we're in good shape.
one little technical point. You talked about having had a quick message back from Tom and whatever his name was, the rugby people. Is Michael been looped in on that? Because
Yep, I
okay,
replied
good.
to make sure that everybody knows that, yeah.
Right, because
absolutely.
it's just because there's there's got to be one person that's running the scheduling end of it.
Yeah.
So that doesn't turn into chaos. So that's good.
It's
Perfect.
all looking good, and you know what, we go back and forth, and it's
Yep.
working.
All right, that sounds great. So, I don't believe there's anything else for any of those sister cities. Am I correct?
No.
Anybody have anything? So my insistence on holding this meeting was simply to let everybody know that there are a bunch of things happening on a bunch of different levels, and we're kind of getting all powered up. I think that our next year is going to be extremely busy, and it's an important time because we're doing all the planning, but then there's the transition into the next group, right? Because following the municipal elections in the fall, there will be a new International Relations Committee constituted by council. Now, many of you will be choosing to continue. Some of you may not. Some of the positions may change, like mine, like Mark's. But I just think it's important to recognize that this is super busy, but it's also transitional because we're making the transition into the next 4-year term. So at any rate, I just wanted to say that and to look ahead. I think you're all going to be busy, and if anyone's not busy and wants to be, contact one of us because there's going to be a ton of stuff to do. Okay. Tammy, is there anything else at the end of that agenda? I know there's one thing that we're going to go to the mayor on at the end.
Sorry, there was a Sir Robert Berry project update, but you probably don't have any Don't know if you have any
I
update
have
on
no
that.
idea. I never have any idea.
Okay.
So, all right. I just mean by that the people that run it are all absent from the meeting. That's all I mean. Barry, you have something, I believe.
Yeah, just let the committee know, and I don't think we can make, in fact, we can't make a decision tonight because it's not on the agenda, but we've received a letter from John Broussard, the Barry Innisfil, yesterday. And I'll just read out the relevant lines to you. As we are receiving numerous calls from the Ukrainian Canadian community, I am reaching out to you with a proposal to coordinate our efforts and initiate the twinning of our city of Barrie with a municipality of a similar size in Ukraine. That would be a symbolic support that can become a practical tool for future cooperation. My office is ready to assist you with finding a potential sister city in Ukraine and the contacts for our Ukrainian counterparts, as well as translation services and the other needs. So they're looking largely as symbolism. They're looking for Canadian communities to twin with Ukrainian communities.
So I agree there's nothing we can do tonight directly, and I have a couple questions that I don't think, and you don't necessarily have to answer them, Barry. I mean, you only just found out about this, but my first question is to the overall committee. Does anyone have any strong objection to this? I don't see anything. All right. Is there general support for it? I just don't want to waste people's time if there's no support for it. Is there support for it? So I don't see any support, and I don't see any opposition. Oh, is your hand saying yes?
People are supporting, I think.
Okay. So if there's support for it, is that then Barry, I would suggest, and if I know you're super busy now, if not you, then maybe somebody else can take it on, maybe me. Probably needs to respond, and with your permission, this isn't action, this is gathering information, all right, before anybody worries about agenda. I think somebody should get back to John Broussard and say, we're certainly interested and would certainly assist you, or would take your assistance on finding a town. Obviously, we're not going there. The two things that I would say that are part of this, we're not doing an exchange with Mariupol anytime soon, all right? And the second part of it is, and I think this needs to be made clear to John Broussard, we're not going to be used as a fundraising arm. At least that's my opinion. Sorry, I'm not trying to dictate everything. If this is a fundraising thing, I don't think we should become engaged. But if it's as that letter suggests, I don't have a problem with it. And I have no problem with it at the time being asking Jean Broussard to come up with some hints for towns. Mm-hmm. And maybe he can get back to us. Maybe he's got a list that he's sitting there, and we'll end up connected with somebody similar size, and it's an exchange of letters and flags, and it's all good.
And there would also have to be some very clear messaging around this, because there might be expectations once that sister city is solidified as to the support of that city moving forward throughout, like after the math of what's going on. So I think that there is just like political stuff that might need to be worked out that way.
Yeah,
does that go back to the financial? Sorry, Barry, go ahead.
He does mention it's a symbolic thing at this point. So, I mean, it can always lead to something else, but at this point, it's symbolic.
Yeah, and I think Shannon and I are worried about the same thing, the potential financial,
but also the viewpoint from the public of what supports we might be helping with, right? So that,
right. Okay. I mean,
I'll contact John's office and or John directly and say we are interested in more information. I'll report back in June.
Perfect. All right, that's good, Barry. And if you need help with that, or if you start feeling yourself getting under with an overload of stuff to do because you're now acting mayor,
no, it's okay.
I'm always
I
willing
see
to
it along the same lines as I was in Ottawa a couple of weeks ago, and our son lives fairly close to the Russian embassy. And I noticed that street has now got on the signs, it's called Free Ukraine Way. They've renamed the street in front of the Russian embassy, which I think is a great thing.
I saw that on. Mm-hmm. And Maury, Lionel and I can help. We deal with John on a regular basis.
Sure. Good.
And you know what? I know where John is getting his information from. He's a massive potato farmer in the Holland Marsh area. Terrific man, and he's got a tremendous amount of family in the Ukraine. And I would think this would all would work with us. So we can assist in that for sure.
Cool. It also helps that you're Ukrainian.
Yep.
So-
There you go.
Yes,
I'm not sure if Shannon alluded to that, but we also have to be careful as to what happens if that city gets conquered and changes hand to, to Russia. So,
no, good point. All right, that's an excellent point. So Jean, Barry, you might want to ask John to come up with a couple options. The further to the west, the better. Well, I'm just saying, I mean,
This is all new to us. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. All right, was that it, Barry? Okay, and I think I've covered all my stuff by sneaking it in earlier. Kieran's stuff with regard to the web, my stuff with regard to the legacy fund. So yeah, so we're good to go. All right, so thank you very much. I appreciate you all taking the time. You're all now well informed as we move forward. And the other reason I wanted to press on is that let's not forget that this is done live. So there may be people in the community that are dutiful watchers of us on a regular basis, and it never hurts to let the community know what we're doing. So there
Have
you
a
go.
very successful trip, Mark and Patty.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Enjoy.
Those of you on Facebook with me, we will be making posts.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. All right. Enjoy it. Safe journey.
Okay,
And for
thanks.
the rest of you, take care, and we shall talk as necessary through the month or at June's meeting. And then after June's meeting, we'll shut down for the summer, just in case you were wondering about that. Some of you are new to this process. So there you are. All right.
Take care.
Take